Hey everyone, welcome to Nerd Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm James.
Today we're doing our episode 3 review of our complete Star Wars saga. We're going through all the movies from the first to the last and then ending with the episode 9 as it comes out in the theaters. So if you haven't watched our first 2 videos, I'll post some links up there and you can go ahead and catch up. At the end, we're going to rank them based on a majority vote on what we feel is the best movie and what we feel is the worst of the series. And of course, along the way, we're going to go through the movie, the plot. We're going to give you our opinions, what we like, what we didn't like, and just general discussions. So before we dig in, I just wanted to say our episode today is sponsored by Casamade. Casamade is a Canadian company that personalizes in custom vinyl creations. From our casa to your casa, their products are custom designed to meet your style and personality. Visit facebook.com/Casamade. That's facebook.com/CAZAMADE. Whether you're looking for something unique for yourself or a gift for someone else, Casamade has something for everyone. As you can see, they made these awesome Star Wars mugs here for us, and they have plenty of more designs on their website. I encourage you to check it out. They have a lot of custom things they can do, and it's not just mugs, they do other things as well.
Definitely.
All right, so I guess we'll start off with a non-spoilery overview on just, did you like it? Did you not like this particular movie on its own?
I liked it a lot better than the first two,
Okay.
I would say. Found the acting was better, which was nice. They started, really getting into the roles as an actor and actress. Some were better than others. Some seem to have reverted a bit in their acting abilities or just didn't care as much anymore. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Cool.
For me, it's a close one for me in terms of liking it with the second one.
Okay.
Again, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It has its flaws, obviously, but for the most part, I was happy with the way it ended and the way it leads into eventually episode 4.
Okay. I like this movie. Yes, it does have flaws, as most of the prequels do, but I think overall I enjoyed the emotional impact that some of the actors had portrayed, and we'll get into that in a bit. But overall, I came away enjoying the movie. Okay,
Perfect.
so with that, we'll have Chris dive in and kind of go through the plot step by step, and we'll just stop you along the way if there's anything specific you want to discuss, what we like, didn't like, and expand upon it.
Perfect. So 3 years after the beginning of Clone Wars, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker lead a mission to rescue the kidnapped Supreme Chancellor Palpatine from the cyborg Separatist,
Yep.
Commander General Grievous, during a space battle over Coruscant. After infiltrating Grievous's flagship, the Jedi battle Count Dooku, who Anakin decapitates at Palpatine's urging. So I thought that was kind of, I thought myself.
So you jumped through a bunch there, so let's dissect that.
So I thought that it was interesting that Palpatine throughout the 2 movies, the first and second episodes, were kind of like whispering into Anakin's ear, like getting his favor of trust and like just saying little things to try and show that he can trust him and listen to him. And then when he's urging him to finish him, he can't be left alive. Yeah, do it. And then Anakin listens but feels regret after. But he kind of shows Palpatine's like, okay, like he's kind of already following my lead, and those little bits that he's laid already are starting to flower up.
Yeah, I think the key part to that was that Obi-Wan was knocked out and wasn't there to have that influence as well, right? Obviously, he wouldn't have shown that if he was there. The Palpatine wouldn't have shown that if he was there or awake or conscious, sorry. But he obviously saw an opportunity and went for it. With Anakin there.
I kind of felt he got taken out pretty quickly. Like at this point, like Anakin even says, like to Dooku, like I'm in training. I'm a lot better than I was last time, and all this stuff, which is true. He's Jedi Knight now. He's no longer a Padawan and everything. And I guess he was at the end of during episode 2, but he's definitely further along in his training. And Obi-Wan is at this point, he's on the council. He's a master. Like he's fully trained. So he gets taken out pretty quickly. And I thought like that's like I felt he held his own a little bit longer in episode 2 against Dooku than in this one. So I thought that was kind of sad. But they had to knock him out for him not to see what Anakin does, right?
Exactly.
But I thought that was pretty interesting. Kind of. It is its own thing, but
I'm a little disappointed that they used 3 different villains for each movie. I thought it would have been better if they just kept Maul throughout the whole one and it ended him at the beginning of episode 3 instead of having Maul for the first one, and then Dooku for the second one, and just the very beginning of the third, and then cutting him
introducing
out.
Grievous.
Yeah, I would have just had Maul as the apprentice all the way until this point, have him end that way, and then have Dooku, or not Dooku, sorry, Anakin the next heir kind of thing. So,
and it would show that history between them as well. Right? If that was the case, if Darth Maul continued throughout the episodes, it would have shown that history between the Jedi Masters and Maul and the dark side as well. I think that would have been a nice continuation of movies.
Yeah.
To merge each other in.
And it kind of feels like, unless you've watched the Clone Wars to piece in between episode 2 and 3, that's where you get a lot more Dooku, a lot of Grievous, because Grievous is introduced in this movie.
Correct.
He's not even talked about in the end of episode 2 when they all meet on Geonosis, and you think he'd be there. As being like the head of the droids and stuff like that, but no, he's just introduced and boom, he's one of the big guys. And so I thought that unless if you've watched the Clone Wars show, then you get a lot of backstory on these characters. But for those who are just watching the movies, it is again introducing a brand new character just to have for that movie. It's
I find like they weren't able to give a lot of backstories in each movie for these characters. The shows obviously show more, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more story of Maul, a little bit backstory to him as well, and showing that he's more involved instead of just having a quick one and done, and then the same with Dooku. Yeah,
and I think it opens up with like a long drawn out battle scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan in the ships, and I think he mentions again why he hates flying. Right? Does he mention that again in this movie?
Yes, on the way there, because those vulture droids
they all get on there and start doing damage, and there's some funny scenes there with R2 and stuff fighting them off, but it is what it is. Anakin showing some pilot skills, kind of trying to save his master and stuff, and it's just, I thought it was drawn out, especially in the Blu-rays. They added, the scene was a lot longer than it was in the movies that I recall.
Correct.
So I kind of thought it went on a little longer than it needed to. The Jedis are cool, they can do these things. Anakin's an awesome pilot, we get it, but I kind of thought that it went a little too long.
Yeah, I think that was already established in the first 2 movies as well. Yeah,
so they didn't have to go there, but they did. Again, if you watch the Clone Wars, you get a lot of these cool moments. You don't need to have that in the movie, but it was what it was.
Now, does the Clone Wars show come out after?
It came out after episode 3. Yes, Clone Wars was made after episode 3, but at the same time, like I think it is canon, and it is. I feel like if you really like Star Wars and you want to get the full understanding, it's crucial to watch that with the movies to help fill in some of the backstory, some of the stuff that's going on
for sure.
Yeah. And because some people might be like, well, from episode 2 and episode 3, there's a big jump shift from him going dark, and the Clone Wars kind of slowly fills that in.
Yeah.
And you kind of see more steps and more things that happen that kind of get him closer to that point. And again, Palpatine and Anakin have some moments. So you get more of that stuff in the Clone Wars show. So sorry, I did forget to mention that this episode we are reviewing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I didn't mention the title at the beginning.
Yeah, they figured it.
Yeah, you probably figured it out by now. So you can continue there.
Perfect. So Grievous escapes a battle-torn ship in which the Jedi crash land on Coruscant. There, Anakin reunites with his wife Padme, who reveals that she is pregnant. While initially he's excited, he begins to have visions of Padme dying while giving in birth.
Yes. Did you? So the whole like crashing of the ship and like landing on Coruscant. Did you find that? I mean, it is Star Wars. It is supposed to be like they do the impossible, and that's fine. But I mean, like Palpatine was very calm.
Yeah. Like
if he's supposed to be in disguise as this senator, he'd probably be screaming and freaking out, not just sitting there and kind of like, okay, let's let you guys do this. I think it'd be cool if they had him like, because they're Obi-Wan and Anakin are at the front and he's back here. If they're trying to use the Force and they're crashing and doing their best to try to protect themselves as they land, if he in the background was somehow like doing something that they didn't pay attention to, like make sure that they don't die.
Yeah,
like just a little
adding to the Force.
That would have been cool, like just for the viewers to be like, oh, like because most of us at this point knew that he is who he is.
Correct. Yeah.
So for us to see it and not the Jedi to be like, oh, he's using the dark side, he's kind of helping without them knowing, that would have been cool. But the fact that he was just sitting there calm, and it didn't seem like him as being the senator, or sorry, the chancellor at this point, it didn't seem like he was playing that role at all. Like, but that's just my opinion there. So they land, they had visions. Yeah, you were gonna say anything about that?
No, I just wasn't sure if anyone wanted to jump in.
No, they're already married, right? So they're married here. They had an aside, and
it's just like his mother's visions kind of thing. So he's kind of looking into the future with his powers and seeing parts of it. And Palpatine will use that to his favor.
Mm-hmm.
So Palpatine appoints Anakin to the Jedi Council as his representative and informant. The council allows Anakin as a member, but declines to grant Anakin the rank of Jedi Master, which really got him upset.
Oh my gosh, he got so angry. And this was another one of those like, oh my gosh, whiny baby kind of.
Yeah.
I guess this is, you can see where Luke inherits it, but man, yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy about that. I didn't like the acting there for that.
No.
How you'd handle that, but I mean, he was written, I guess, for him to be that way.
Yeah. And the order also, so the council orders him to spy on Palpatine at that point.
Yeah, they agree to let him in with the guise of like, okay, we'll
That's
let you
right.
in, but you're going to be our spy to see what he's doing.
That's
Because we
right.
don't trust him, yeah.
Yeah. And this kind of diminishes Anakin's faith in the Jedi and starts to go against them. So Palpatine tempts Anakin with the knowledge of the dark side, including the power to prevent death. So that really piques his interest. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi travels to Utapau, where he kills Grievous, and Yoda travels to the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk to defend it from the Separatist invasion.
Okay, so let's unpack that, I think. Yeah. So before we get to the Grievous part, Anakin and Senator have an important conversation, and I think this particular scene, what he reveals, kind of gives you a little bit of glimpse who his master was, Darth Plagueis, about the Force being able to do a lot of things that people aren't even aware of now. Yeah. The Jedi aren't aware of all the stuff. Like the dark side hasn't covered things that the light side doesn't know, and I'm sure that there's some light side abilities that the current Jedi aren't aware of, and you kind of see stuff in the newer movies, things that you haven't really seen before. But I mean, it's a really cool, interesting story that he's kind of sharing some stuff, trying to gain his trust, bring him closer, trying to plant seeds to bring him to the dark side. One being the fact that you can cheat death. You have this power. It's only available on the dark side. And so he's kind of wondering, like, well, how do you know this stuff? And I know this scene happens later, but you know, he's gonna uncover. But it's still like, okay, you're telling me all this stuff about the dark side. How do you have all this knowledge about the dark side? Like, you're sitting here and you're telling me this. You're just some guy, and you're telling me there's this story about this guy, and this is what he did, and his apprentice killed him in his sleep, and blah 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 blah, and he can do that. And oh yeah, you can't learn those powers from anyone. Like, it's a dark side. How do you know this stuff? Like, wouldn't Anakin be suspicious of like? Well, you must have been like, we don't just share our secrets with just the average person. Like, you can't, a random guy can't walk into the Jedi records and just look up history. You can't do that. Yeah. So right away, wouldn't you clue in, like, how do you know this information? Where'd you get this information from? No, nothing. Just left it there. So I thought that was kind of weak from a dialogue standpoint. It was a smart tool of setting things up, but I thought the way it was delivered,
the pass as well. I liked how that conversation gave the pass of the dark side, and Plagueis, and he had an apprentice, and kind of tell that story about the background of it, which was great that way. But Anakin not cluing in was kind of being naive.
I think it also shows the arrogance of maybe Anakin as well, thinking he knows everything.
That's true,
because he has shown that behavior before.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to bring up is the visions that he has. You think that is Inception from Palpatine? That he's
I was thinking about that recently.
That he's kind of shown him that
when I first thought it,
fear, so that he could exploit it and use it.
I think that's very astute. I think when I first watched it back in the day, I was thinking, because Yoda has seen visions of the future. In episode 1, he talks about, the future is changing. We don't always know what's happening. They talk about Anakin. He's not ready. He feels fear. But then I think when he has this conversation with Obi-Wan at the end, doesn't he mention something about like the future is always changing, or we can't really see, or what's exactly going to happen with Anakin, right? Like it's too murky or cloudy or whatever. So Yoda has the power to see, the future in some cases. So that's just a gift of the Jedi, you would assume. But no, I mean, especially with the knowledge of the future movies that we've seen already, and what we believe may or may not happen in the final movie, I think that, that is definitely a possibility. And that would be very smart if they tied that in and said, like, all those visions you had of your mom dying, this, Palpatine put it in there and, like, made Anakin start going. Like, that would really solidify stuff. And if he was doing that, and we'll see in the future movie with other characters, that'd be phenomenal. I think that's very cool if they come up and say that's
great. Hopefully.
That'd be smart. That'd be very smart. And it would explain, like, Rey and Kylo's connection, but that's another movie. I like that. Okay, so Kenobi, I wanted to talk about that. So he arrives in Utapau. He's sneaking up. He speaks to the people who are there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're up on the 7th floor. They're here with an army of droids." So they're essentially taken hostage. They don't want them there, but they're there.
Correct.
So he calls in for the clones to arrive, and he goes up to face him. And then we have the famous "Hello there" scene where he jumps down and he faces Grievous. I thought the battle was cool from the perspective of you never seen a guy take on like a guy with 4 lightsabers.
Yeah,
and again, it's like, okay, we got a double bladed lightsaber, and then we've got like Dooku's crazy spinning one, and then you have 2 lightsabers on one, like 2-handed. You don't really see that in the movies. That was the first time you saw like 2 sabers in one person, like one person holding 2 sabers. And then we're like, okay, let's jump it up to 4 now. How can you handle 4? Like 2 spinning, 2 going.
And these were like Jedis that he defeated.
Yes, and he kept their sabers. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then Obi-Wan, he's master, he keeps us cool, and boom, takes out one hand, takes out the other hand.
Yeah.
And then eventually it goes on to a silly chase scene, and then it ends up with him shooting in the only organs that he has left, his heart and stuff. And I'm like, okay,
it's such a primitive weapon.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of dispatching him instead of just traditional lightsaber kill a guy. Like it goes to show you again that Jedis are not superhero like gods. I mean, they are super powerful, but they can be defeated, and sometimes you lose your lightsaber and you gotta survive with whatever you got. So I like that, but I thought that the fight started off really cool, and then it kind of went to this crazy chase scene, and it was what it was.
Yeah.
Nice. So Palpatine reveals to Anakin that he is the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, and that he knows how to save Padme.
Yep.
Anakin reports Palpatine's treachery to Mace Windu, who confronts the Sith Lord with 3 other Jedi Masters. Palpatine easily slays the 3 Jedi Masters.
Yeah,
like you said, they're not invincible, but they're just...
That seemed very easy.
They took him down. No, I understand that he's very powerful,
but
they should have... Like, Kit Fisto, one of my favorites, he stood longer than the other 2. Yeah. They got taken out in less than a second.
Yeah.
Which, come on, you have a dark side guy, he pulls out his lightsaber, you should be ready. Yeah. This guy just diving at you, even though I'm sure that the movie didn't make it look as fast as it probably was supposed to be. It was probably supposed to be like 4 speed, like zipping across. But again, Jedi's foresight, you should have kind of been able to do something.
Yeah.
I think they could have made that fight a little longer before he dispatches them.
Yeah.
Like the fan trailer we've seen of Darth Maul, how he's taking them on and slowly he starts taking them out. That would have been cooler, I think. But again, Clone Wars does a lot of that stuff that they didn't do in the movies.
Yeah.
I guess it just solidifies that Mace is like the most powerful like lightsaber fighter from the Jedi side, and he's the only one who could stand toe to toe against Palpatine. Or maybe that's just to show how powerful Palpatine is that these masters couldn't even stand against him. That's how strong he is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what he was going for. It just didn't come across that way.
Yeah. It seemed very quick.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the graphics of him jumping up and yelling, ah.
Yeah. His teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
It was awkward, but
it was awkward acting.
Could have been better. Could have been better. So
and I said acting was better in this movie. I meant from Anakin.
Anakin's was definitely improved, I think, over episode 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sorry. So you said they dispatched 2 of them. Yeah. So keep going.
Yeah, but he was subdued by Windu,
Yep.
who used his lightsaber to return Palpatine's force lightning
against him,
and disfiguring him.
Yes, and so he only did the lightning when he saw Anakin kind of come in. He's like, "Oh no, please, please, please!" And then he started doing lightning, and then he stopped him and started putting it against himself.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm too weak, and then he gets Anakin to save him essentially.
Right. So fearing that he will lose Padme if Palpatine dies, Anakin severs Windu's hand, allowing Palpatine to throw him out the window. Anakin then pledges himself to Sidious, who dubs him Darth Vader.
That's right.
Palpatine then issues Order 66, which commands the Clone Wars to betray and kill their commanding Jedi officers. Meanwhile, the newly knighted Vader brings with him the 501st Legion to help kill the remaining Jedi in the temple, including the younglings.
That's right. And Sidious tells him that, like, in order to get you as powerful as we need you to be able to, for us to unlock these secrets and, like, be able to save Padme, is like, you need to take your steps towards the dark side. So he says, you need to kill Jedis. That's going to get you there. If I remember, he says something along the lines of, it'll get you there. And so you literally see from him marching up the steps, I paid attention, his eyes are normal, and then he's killing, and then when he turns around, his eyes are now like red and yellow, and he's like full on dark side at this point. Like, if there's any shadow of a doubt.
He's then sent to the volcanic planet of Mustafar to slaughter the Separatist leaders as well. So now Palpatine is kind of cleaning the slate everywhere. So he's getting the Jedi out of the way. He's getting the remaining Separatists out of the way.
I think that he's there to protect them.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, earlier, before Obi-Wan dispatched Grievous, Palpatine called in and told Grievous to take them all to Mustafar for safekeeping.
Correct.
Which is all part of his plan, obviously, to betray them. So they're all there waiting for, and then Palpatine says, "Oh, I'm sending my new apprentice, and he'll take care of you." Yeah. They're like, "Oh, okay, great. We're getting another guy to protect us," and little do they know,
taking care of us in a different way.
So they show the Lord Vader.
So Palpatine then declares himself Emperor before the Galactic Senate, transforming
Yes.
the Republic into the Galactic Empire.
And he shows like the Jedi have attacked me, they've disfigured me, they're the evil people,
That's right.
outlining them,
Yeah,
blah blah
so
blah.
he declares the Jedi as traitors. Having survived the chaos, Obi-Wan and Yoda return to Coruscant and learn of Vader's betrayal. Yoda orders Obi-Wan to confront Vader while he deals with Palpatine. So Obi-Wan, begs him not to go after Anakin, and says that he can't kill him.
Yeah.
Wants to
Like,
go
let
after
me go after
Palpatine instead. But Yoda says, you're not strong enough. Only a true old master can face.
Yeah,
Palpatine
like
alone.
listen, Mace barely survived.
Yeah.
You have no shot, Obi-Wan.
Exactly. Obi-Wan informs Padme of Vader's loyalty to the Sith, leaving her distraught, and she goes to Mustafar. And that's when Obi-Wan kind of sneaks in on board as well, without her knowing.
Now, before this happens, Anakin had come back to Padme after she saw the explosion on the Jedi Temple and everything, and she's heard stories of stuff going on. He came back and he's talking to her, and he's like, "Oh, there have been traitors," and she says, "Well, where your allegiances are?" And he's like, "With the Galactic Republic, with you."
Yeah.
And he talks about I found a way, to save you. I'm gonna be the most powerful. And he starts saying things that show her that he's kind of different. He's kind of changed already. And then he has the conversation, and then he tells her that he's heading off to Mustafar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So she goes there to try and convince him to leave with her and raise their child. Seeing Obi-Wan on Padme's ship and thinking that they have conspired to kill him, Vader angrily chokes Padme. Obi-Wan engages Vader in a lightsaber duel, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How they were jumping around, doing different with the lava, the facility falling down around them.
I thought it was a great lightsaber fight.
Mm-hmm.
But did they get to the Palpatine Yoda stuff? Because I'm assuming
They do, yeah.
That's okay.
So it kind of goes back and forth
Okay.
with the battle, and then Yoda. They show Obi-Wan and Anakin, and then Palpatine and Yoda.
Okay, so let's talk about the Obi-Wan Anakin stuff then. So they arrive, and Padme comes out, and I think in this movie, at this point especially, her acting I think took the down spiral. She did better in 2 than she did in this one.
Yeah.
Again, more like it just didn't seem authentic. Like the crying, like you're breaking my heart, and was like, oh my gosh, the way you deliver that line, it just seemed fake. It just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have the emotion there.
Yeah.
But when Obi-Wan. When Ewan McGregor delivered his lines at different points to him about you're like a son to me, or you're my brother Anakin, and just different lines like that, I mean, man, it hit home. Like I thought he delivered it.
Mm-hmm.
And Anakin at certain points in the fight, some of his lines, he was just like, yeah, I hate you, and just, oh man, I felt it. I thought it was really powerful. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah. He was much better when he was angry and powerful than this whiny little kid trying to prove himself.
Yes.
He was much better acting that way. I think it was more kind of his style. And Ewan McGregor, I say, was the best actor in this whole prequel.
Oh man,
and just got better throughout each movie.
Absolutely,
he is. I'm so happy he's coming back for that role as Obi-Wan, and can't wait for that. And a lot of fans really wanted him to come back, and you could tell that he was really devoted to this role and really wanted to make it his own. And really wanted to be part of this franchise. So it's great that he's coming back, because he's truly a part of this franchise. He's not just someone who just wanted to be in it for
sure.
money. Whatnot.
Did you feel they were evenly matched? He's a master. He trained him. Anakin's not a master, but because he's so strong in the Force, do you felt it makes sense that they'd be evenly matched? Or
I thought it was pretty good. Plus, he was kind of harnessing the dark side now. After he did all those.
And Obi-Wan was there's a few moments where he's taken aback, and they did the both Force thing and exploded. Everything just kind of showed they're even. They're even. They're both
and Anakin's
spinning the lightsaber, trying to find ways in.
So he has all those extra abilities, but maybe not the knowledge to use them all.
Yep. There's this. Sorry.
I think as well, because they're so even, is that he's taught him everything, right? So they know each other's moves. So
yes.
They go in this situation, okay, I'll do this, and they both do the same thing, right? So I think that is kind of, he hadn't really figured out, Anakin hadn't really figured out his potential exactly, and to utilize the dark side entirely, because he's still getting into that. But definitely even, and then I just thought.
Obi-Wan had
the
that
technique,
knowledge for sure, because he's older and a master.
More calm, more whatever, which is the way you got to be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you kind of saw him this is going to be tough. Because not only is it I don't want to hurt him, but at the same time, it's oh, this guy's really powerful. He's trying to kill me. Yeah. And I thought it was cool. There were some parts that, I don't know, the big thing that people hate is when they get to the point where they're both spinning the lights around them and they're not hitting each other. And it's it looks like they're dancing, right? I thought it looked cool, flipping around. But I think it was more of them like trying to figure out like how am I gonna get in.
Mhm.
So I'm like protecting myself and like how like he knows my moves. You know how am I gonna find my
Well,
in?
sometimes they would purposely do a move away from them where the person would have to block even though it wasn't at their body.
Yes,
to
try
try
to get in.
second
Exactly.
or third move to open up the the body
opening.
or...
And then you saw a few parts where like Anakin was like knocked out. Everyone's about to get him, and Anakin gets the overhand. But then there was that one scene which I thought was bad was where they do like the kicks. Like one guy kicks one guy, the other guy jumps and kicks the other guy. I'm like, you guys just running kicking each other. Like this is Jedi's. Like, come on, man. Like Darth Maul, he did the thing. He added a kick in there, but it's not like okay, my lightsaber's gone. You're just running and literally kicking each other on the table. So I thought that was the only part that I thought was okay. Wasn't really impressed by that, but for the most part, the rest of it, especially as they go outside, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. So I found that Obi-Wan was kind of that older, knowledgeable, but slower kind of.
Yes.
But he was, smart with it.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin was that young, raw power, but naive and not as knowledgeable in what he can do. So I thought it was good to see those two contrasts, but still very powerful against each other. Sorry, just finding where. So Obi-Wan engages Vader in a lightsaber duel, and after gaining the higher ground, warns his former pupil to stand down. When Vader attacks, Obi-Wan severs his legs and left arm, leaving him at the bank of a lava flow. Yeah. Obi-Wan picks up Vader's lightsaber, which is important because eventually it becomes handed to Luke, which is great. And this was his father's before he died, this is the scene of, I guess, of him dying as Anakin.
Died,
and also, I mean, now that he knows that he's a Sith, now he's fallen, he's whatever. It's like this is a Jedi's weapon. It's not yours. Yeah, and so it's like you gotta make your own, find your own. Yeah, kind of thing. But yeah, what did you think of that? A lot of people hate that. It's over, Anakin. I've got the high ground. Didn't bug me. Didn't bug you guys about that whole thing? And
I thought it was part of his knowledge of being old and being strategic and knowing. If I get this ground, I have the advantage over my opponent. Yeah, and he tries to get him to yield. Yeah, which he doesn't because again, he doesn't cocky Anakin, like I'm the best. Yeah, and it shows that Anakin's naive and thinks that he can, even though he's, at the lesser ground and at a disadvantage, he can overcompensate for it because he's naive. So powerful and whatever. And I thought it was cool, like that he severed like literally the only human limbs he had left. He left his robot arm, which he needed to help try to propel him back as much as he did. But that part didn't bother me. But there's another part later that does. During the scene or later? No. Okay, that's fine. They have the thing where he looks at him. He's like, "I hate you," and he's like, "You were like a son to me," and that whole thing. I was like, "Wow!" Like I felt it. I thought it was cool. I felt like Anakin is when he catches on fire and he's burning. I'm like that type of lava. I'm pretty sure he would have. His energy would have been worse. Like I'm surprised he survived at all. Like you would think that he would try to use the Force to, I don't know, somehow slow his breathing or something, or Palpatine would have arrived much sooner because Obi-Wan takes off, the ship's gone, Sidious is still looking for him. I'm like, a lot of time has gone by. Like at this point, like you should have like been there, like actually been there. Obi-Wan takes off, and then like literally like as Obi-Wan jumps on the plane, Palpatine shows up and he's there, like because he wouldn't have lasted as long as he should have been able to feel him with his Force power and sense on the dark side. But get into the other fight there. Maybe they skip it. On Coruscant, Yoda battles Palpatine until their duel reaches a stalemate. Yoda then flees with Bail Organa, while Palpatine, sensing that his apprentice is in danger, travels to Mustafar. Obi-Wan regroups with Yoda on an asteroid where Padme gives birth to twins, whom she names Luke and Leia, before dying. Now, do you guys remember who came first? Yes. Luke or Leia? Luke. Yeah. Did you know that?
I can't remember. I didn't remember
we were talking about that, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's Leia. And then it's like, Luke. Oh, okay, I guess it's Luke. Yeah. So the Palpatine Emperor fight. Well, why don't you finish? You're almost at the end, and then we'll go through the scenes. On Mustafar, Palpatine finds Vader barely alive and brings him in, to Coruscant, where his mutilated body is treated and covered in a black armored suit. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Yoda plan to conceal the twins from the Sith and exile themselves from the Empire, while Padme's funeral takes place on her home world of Naboo. Vader and the Emperor oversee the construction of the Death Star. Bail and his wife adopt Leia and take her to Alderaan. While Obi-Wan delivers Luke to his step-uncle and aunt on Tatooine. Tatooine before going into exile. Okay, so the Palpatine Yoda fight. I thought that the point that he was trying to get across in this fight, I mean, episode 2, you had that epic Yoda walk in, the click 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 shows up. It's like, oh, he's gonna save the day, and it was so cool. His lightsaber pops out, and so because we already knew, we got that in episode 2. You can't really like top that.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well now we're gonna get the most powerful Jedi and the most powerful Sith, and let's have them battle. Okay, I get that, and you want to show how powerful they each are by showing them do things to each other. Catch them under surprise. Palpatine lightnings Yoda at the very beginning, and Yoda apparently was unaware of it and gets zapped and knocked out. And then later on, Yoda's all like absorbing his lightning and taking it back, and I'm like, okay, like you're evenly matched, but I thought it was like a weird sucker punch to start the match off.
Yeah.
I thought it should have been like you're fighting, and then maybe he shocks him something to just take him off guard. It just, I don't know. I thought it was a little. I think Yoda would have seen it and wouldn't have been taken off so easily. Yeah. But on the flip side, I liked how, when he seemed like he was completely like down and Palpatine's over there talking to him, and then he kind of gets up and then knocks Palpatine back. Yeah. Was cool. And then we kind of got some lightsaber fights, and then I got to the end of just like, I'm going to throw stuff at you, and I'm going to catch it and throw it back, and you're just, okay, we're just throwing floaty chairs at each other.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how else do you do like this guy who's so powerful in the Force and so powerful other than the lightning and absorb, which was really cool, and then like absorbing it and like, let's go. I don't know what else it could have done, but I just thought it could have been better than what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It created something new entirely, right? Like, I mean, it's a movie, so imagination's endless.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if they could have come up with something. I know lightning's cool, but I wonder if there was something that maybe they added something that you hadn't seen already in the previous 2.
Yeah, some sort of like Jedi mind trick. He uses some mind trick, or because he's so strong, Palpatine's kind of like, where do you go? He appears behind him, and then like, but he senses him, and like things like that. Like things of, we know that they can do these things, but let's see them use them on a different level because you guys are like up here.
Yeah. Or that even something new that you hadn't seen before. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Some unknown like
exactly
stuff he didn't like to use, or maybe he taps a little bit into his anger or something. But I guess that's not Yoda. I guess he wouldn't really do that.
I thought the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan was much more exciting than the battle of the top 2 of evil and good of Yoda and Palpatine. So I was kind of expecting more from that battle than the one between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
We see Yoda lose his lightsaber as he falls down, so then that's why he doesn't have it, I guess, in the original trilogy when he goes in exile. Even I think his cloak falls off too.
Yes.
But I'm assuming he gets it because we see in that battle that from electricity and stuff, there are scorch marks in the original trilogy. There's a lot of holes and stuff in his outfit. So he obviously gets it back, but yeah, the lightsaber's gone.
Yeah. So I was just disappointed, and just Palpatine starting to just throw stuff, and then his face when Yoda catches it and
but even Yoda, he's like spinning it like you need to get momentum to throw. I'm like, you have the Force, just grab it and throw it back. Like again, George Lucas could have tried to be like, okay, these guys are powerful. Yoda, as powerful as he is, okay, it takes a lot of concentration for him to lift these big things. But like Yoda said, size matters not. It doesn't matter how big or small something is. If you have the Force and you can do it, you can do it. Yeah, exactly. So he throws stuff. Yoda should have just deflected it or grabbed it and threw it back and just made it a lot quicker and snappier. It would have been more exciting than like, I'm gonna throw like 4 or 5 of them at you at once. Yoda's dodging, grabs one, I'm gonna spin it back, and then when he throws it back, it's coming back slow, and then Palpatine's going like, oh crap, I better jump out of the way. But how did you not see that coming? He's standing there spinning it. Like, what did you think he was gonna do? I don't know. It could have been better.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I was disappointed by that. The other thing I was disappointed about was Padme apparently dying of a broken heart.
Yeah.
Like she has nothing to live for.
That's what they said.
Except for 2 kids that you're just giving birth to.
So they pretty much come to, again, we're giving her medicine. She's not like, for some unknown reason, she's losing the will to live. So it's like, oh, so she's not dying from some like disease. Yeah. She's just, I'm giving up on life, which I didn't think any of us could literally just decide, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm done living and just pass out and die. Like it was what it was, but okay, unknown complications. You can't save her.
She was choked. Like the choke, did some severe damage, and she has internal bleeding or whatever. She can't be saved. No problem.
Yeah.
Not lack of giving a damn anymore and wanting to live.
But that leads me to your point with the planting a seed thing, because that's the only thing that kind of makes it a little bit better in the fact that you have the vision of her dying, because if you turn to the dark side, she's gonna die. because she's gonna give up. We don't know why that's the reason, but if Palpatine's putting that seed into his head, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Then okay, then that comes fruit to the. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But if you don't do the dark side, then she's gonna be happy. She's not gonna die. Like, but you don't see that. So that would be very. If they come across, that would I think help smooth over some of these choices. I think. But go ahead. You were gonna say.
And then the very end where you see the transformation into Darth Vader and the
yell.
No.
No.
That was
so there is a theory
that one
that it was so bad because his new robotic system does not allow him to show emotion. So that was the most emotion it was allowed to show. And he was trying really hard to go through that, and it showed that it was not good. It was very.
That was hard.
Yeah,
that was hard to watch.
Like I like the how powerful. Like he's getting mad. He breaks it, and things are getting crushed and stuff. I'm like, that's cool.
Great.
That.
Yeah,
but like
no part.
No.
Yeah, he could have just said something like, "How could this be?" or something, and crush everything. But
yeah, or he did a whole Luke like, "That's impossible!" Like Luke screams back at him in the future. He's like, no. But again, maybe that's why they did the no, because Luke doesn't freaking know it. And then in a movie we'll get to down the road, but
yeah, I didn't like that no.
I have like that's the part I mentioned earlier, the one that really bothered me.
Yeah,
about that.
I think a lot of people didn't like that.
And the mask deepens his voice because he's got a respirator and stuff in his mouth that apparently deepens your voice.
Yeah,
why not?
Makes it more menacing, I guess. I like the shot of like putting the mask on and you seeing through his eyes like, oh, it's all red, and it's like, oh, he's not even seeing like in color anymore. Like everything is like different. Like he's like, even though he's still kind of human in there, he is like, as Obi-Wan says, more machine than man at this point. And it reminds me even seeing things like robotics and lights and
when Luke has the visor come down in the X-wing, where it's kind of red and has, it reminds me of that kind of sequence there.
Yeah. So Anakin. So Padme dies. It is what it is. Bail Organa, in the whole like Order 66 ends up being like proving that he's a little bit of a hero.
Yeah,
trying to come back to he's a senator. He's not like a fighter.
Yeah.
And he shows up to the Jedi Temple to see what's going on. Like, get out of here! You don't belong here. Then the little Jedi Padawan guy comes out, starts taking on guys. He's like, no, gets on, escapes, puts on a code and says, everyone stay away. And then tells Obi-Wan what's going on. Obi-Wan then has to plant that in the temple where they discover the footage. Yoda knows already at this point, like it's Anakin. Like he's like, what you're gonna see on that, you're not gonna be happy with the footage, or whatever. Which I was like, okay, that's cool. Again, being able to see what's happening, feeling everyone dying, like know what's going on. And then Obi-Wan seeing that and like again having like this heartbreak moment, like this can't be, it's not the guy. That guy trained. This isn't the kid. But what was I getting at? So Bail Organa, sending out the message, trying to like save people, is like, this isn't right. Kind of the first steps of like this rebellion, like we're making a stand, let's get out of here. And already having like this base of operations, like I'm gonna take her to my world where she's safe, and kind of where everything starts at this point, right? The rebellion where there are people, and then they kind of move off to Yavin and have other bases, but he's kind of like the cornerstone in the movie. I mean, there's more in the shows, but he's kind of one of the cornerstones. So I thought that was cool. Showing him do that in the extra scenes with like him and the message, and kind of, I think there was a couple of extended scenes with him, but it seemed a little bit more. And then at the end, he's like, "I'll take the daughter. Me and my wife always wanted a kid." Okay, cool. That explains it. He's like a senator. He's a high-ranking guy. So she becomes a princess. So is he a king? Because I just assumed he was just a senator. Bail Organa, Senator Bail Organa. It's his name in the movie in the credits. So she becomes a princess, Leia Organa. Okay.
Yeah, maybe down the line he becomes,
he grows again. You don't get his story, but so he's a high up. He takes her, and then Luke
goes. It does show kind of how Leia became, such a high member of the rebellion. Her adopted dad was already part of it, not realizing that her other real biological dad is who he is at that point. But she's raised in this atmosphere where they're going to go against the Empire.
Absolutely.
So it was a nice background and cleaning it all up and putting everything together for episode 4.
And Yoda and Obi-Wan coming together, like, what are we going to do with the kids? And they're like right away thinking like, well, we can't let Darth Vader get him. We got to do that. And they just said, let's separate them, because if he finds one, there's still another. And it was really cool. Like,
because Palpatine's like, oh, she died. You killed her. And then so he thinks, doesn't know that she gave birth. So that's why he's not looking for his kids anyways, which is what some people wonder, like, if you knew you were going to have a kid, why wouldn't you search for them? Exactly. But then if he thinks that she's already dead, then that explains why you didn't end up searching for her.
So, I mean, we get to the end there. So we see, like, Luke is dropped off with Beru and Owen. and Owen's off like in the same pose of Luke. I'm like, look, why? Why did they give him that? I get that, like they wanted to show that shot. They could have showed the shot of doing the standing with the baby, but like him standing there looking out to his wife, she kind of comes up behind. Like, why are you doing the Luke pose? Like, I didn't get that. Again, I was just trying to draw like, oh look, it's connected. This is, I guess I didn't feel like it was necessary. The shot could have been done without him standing like that, but it was what it was. Like, I think he was even having like similar like clothes, like pants, like it looked very similar to what Luke was wearing, and I'm like, okay, I guess he passed on his clothes to Luke when he grew up. I guess I don't know, but it was what it was. And then Obi-Wan's there with his hood on, and he's there doing the Alec Guinness thing and like watching. I'm like, okay, it's cool. He's kind of getting into his role, and I thought they tied it up nice, kind of tied up all the loose ends from like connecting all the pieces. So I thought they did it well from that perspective.
I like that Yoda told Obi-Wan while he has a mission for him while he's in exile.
Yes,
to learn to Force Ghost himself.
Yes. Now I don't think that was was that in the original like theatrical release?
I don't think it was.
I think he just says I'll take him to his things. Yeah, and I think that was, and I'm wondering if that was added because of the Clone Wars, the last missions.
Yeah,
the last, which we'll discuss that separately, but yeah, the last arc that they had there. Have you seen all the Clone Wars show? No. Yeah, so there's an awesome, I don't want to spoil it, there's an awesome arc, and you know what I'm talking about. And and it ties together exactly that, like characters that
some
appear,
old characters
that appear new, and it ties a lot of like stuff, brings a lot of stuff into canon, it ties a lot of stuff together. We're talking like Old Republic stuff, we're talking about stuff from prequels, we're talking about like it just ties so much together. So I thought it was really cool, and again, like if you're not watching the shows, you kind of miss a lot of this stuff.
Exactly. These are little Easter eggs that they kind of throw in,
which adds to the movie. Like it kind of enriches. Oh, that makes sense because he said, and it kind of connects. But if you haven't watched the show, then it's kind of like, oh yeah, I have a mission for you, and you don't really see what that mission is because in episode 4, he's just an old man. So maybe this TV show is gonna show that.
That would be nice.
We'll have to wait and see. But but that's the movie. Stuff. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So at this point, before we give our like full review, is there any other scenes or pieces you want to discuss? Things you liked, didn't like about any particular moments before we kind of go?
I just liked all the fight scenes. I felt every movie the fights got better choreographed and
with exception of Palpatine's fight. In both cases.
So the real fights, not the CGI fights, were very well done.
Okay.
So in the second movie, I thought one of the hardest ones for any actor to do was the Count Dooku against Yoda, because literally he's just going against a CG and just doing things in the air, and they're piecing.
But do you think it was hard? Because I'm thinking of, again, it is choreography. They had Nick Gillard, who was the head of the lightsaber combat, who did that stuff, the choreography, and taught them and whatever. And I believe that he was actually dressed up in one of the scenes in Attack of the Clones as one of the extra Jedi in the field. Nice. But yeah, so he did choreography for Dooku. Wouldn't it just be like, okay, these are the moves you're gonna do, and he practices it. He does it in front of a green screen, and then they just add Yoda where they need to add him around him.
Yeah, that's true.
But I understand when you're acting. Yes, as an actor, you want to act
where that.
Yes, you want to play off of what you see and in the setting and all that stuff. Absolutely, it just makes that it should make your acting that more believable. Yeah. When you're literally just okay, I believe that there's a tree here, and I believe and then you're kind of acting with, and then it's completely different than what you imagine. It's different, right?
Yeah. But I thought Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen were able to kind of
really get in there
with each other and like you're doing this move, I'm going to work harder to do this move, and like
and I think they actually didn't hurt each other at some point doing the practices
probably.
So that's pretty cool. Like like it kind of shows like the desperation of like I got to hit every move or I'm going to get hit, and it adds to the believability. So you're right. I did enjoy the battle that they had.
Yeah, so those were my favorite parts.
Okay.
How about you?
We spent a lot of time on Kashyyyk.
You're right. We did.
It was a quick
Order 66. They flashed around to a bunch of planets.
Yeah.
We know that Yoda went to Kashyyyk, he said, to visit friends of his, Chewbacca and Darful, his father. Yeah. And well, why don't you delve into that?
No, I just like the way that they introduce the home planet of the Wookiees as well, so you know where that's what goes on there.
Yeah.
I did something I liked and I didn't like was when they did Order 66 there. Mm-hmm. And that he seemed to be the only one who really realizes that, hey, they're turning on us. The clone troopers.
Like Yoda is like the one that is the most like attuned. You're right, like
to the Force.
Foresight. Like he's like, I know something's going down. Just like
Yeah.
Obi-Wan feels it in episode 4, which we'll get the at a certain moment in episode 4, he feels like, oh my gosh, like it feels like a lot of people were screaming, and like he gets that ability, and maybe that's part of his isolation and his training and whatever. But Yoda is, again, he's the master of the master because he's the best at this point. And so I get that, but you're right. You think some of the other Jedis would have an inkling.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, what's going on?
I think the only time that you kind of see it is when Aayla Secura, which is the girl with the blue Twilight with the lightsaber on Felucia, she's there, and she's with the clones, and then she's walking, and then she kind of stops, and then she turns around, and they start shooting her. So she kind of knew, wait a minute, something's not right. Where Ki-Adi-Mundi, who's a master, he's running, he's like, let's go, guys. Where you guys go? Like, come on. That was, I agree. Like, didn't you kind of feel like something was wrong? Like, I felt like the other actress did a better job at like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Like, I feel a disturbance in the force, something. So you're right. They should have all been able to like
some sort of
turn around, start defending, but then maybe like in Ki-Adi-Mundi's case, defend against his clones, but then the bad guys come up and then shoot him in the back while he's defending or something. Not just I can't defend myself. After in Geonosis, you're defending droids and Geonosians, and you're going like crazy. And then now you have like 6 or 7 clone troopers at your back. You turn around and you can't defend yourself. So you're right. They could have changed the way it was done. Absolutely. They would have done a little easier than you would have thought. But.
Yeah, and that's basically the only thing I really wanted to bring up. That.
Okay.
The battle was, was it what it was? And...
It was what it was. Okay. So what do you guys think of CG in this movie?
Not as bad as the other ones, at least that I noticed. I picked up more things on, episode 1.
I thought episode 2 was the worst from a CG perspective, I think.
Yeah. Is that the one where he rode the...
Yep.
Yeah.
And the apple and like a lot of the things. I thought that one was the worst for like CG effects because they really wanted to show things, but if you can't do it properly and you're doing things where the actors are interacting with things, not just it's in the background, then you really have to have the technology. Like nowadays, you can do that stuff really good.
Yeah.
Because you can get like a ball that's covered in green and actually interact with it and then change it and do what you need to do. But however they did it, it didn't sync up properly, and it it was what it was. I thought it was better in this movie. I didn't notice any really glaring like, wow, that's bad CG. Oh my gosh, I can tell it's CG. I didn't. Not thinking of it.
I found the worst part for CG was Palpatine jumping up to get at Windu and
that like lunge attack and then like coming back and then and then when it was him and Mace, it was like you're a little bit more.
That was the only part that I kind of can remember thinking like that's not the best CG, but I think everything else was pretty well done. I don't think many people complain as much about episode 3 for CG than they do for
the other ones
2 and 1.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see anything that was glaring that I was like, oh my gosh, but
horrible.
No, exactly. So
I agree.
The second thing is plot overall. Do you think the story was solid? I'm not talking about dialogue and script, but talking about story.
So I thought the story was good. I thought the story
Revenge
in the
of the
trilogy,
Sith, like forget the trilogy, just like Revenge of the Sith. From start of the thing, we're in a space battle. You're trying to capture some guy or save the Chancellor. They go and save him, get into a fight. Anakin does some stuff, starts falling to the dark side. Blah 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 blah. The whole setup of like, we're gonna turn you to the dark side because you're gonna save Padme because you're having these fears and his love for her and whatever is gonna pull him over. Planting the seeds of deception with the Jedi, and then Mace coming out and basically saying like, we gotta stand trial. Like he's the leader. We can't. I'm gonna finish this now. I'm gonna kill him. Anakin like, oh, this, you are corrupt. Whatever he decides to do. Do you feel like everything logically from a plot standpoint made sense to getting him from where he was to Darth Vader and how Palpatine rose and how the Jedi got destroyed? Do you feel like the plot itself made sense? Or do you feel there were certain like big plot holes that just it was whack?
I felt it made sense from beginning to end. It showed and kind of tied all the knots and cleaned it up on why he decided to fully turn to the dark side. His reasoning, what his thoughts were, and then the steps that he had to take in order to become a true Sith. And then show where, why he turned into the way he is in episode 4. Kind of cleaned it all up and ready for the next episode. I thought it went well. It was pretty fluid and made sense, I would say, from beginning to end.
And yourself?
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
I thought the plot was pretty good. I can't think of off the top of my head any, again, like obvious ones are like, well, how did that jump from this to that?
It's good going. Okay, and then dialogue and scripting. A lot of bad lines in this movie. Not as bad as 2.
Not as bad as 2, I would say. I mean, there's still a couple ones, and there's some
every movie has.
Exactly. Yeah. but nothing
much better than
much better.
Okay.
Writing and dialogue. A few funny ones, like Obi-Wan dropping down.
Not as much Jar Jar.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Definitely.
Okay, and then villain. What did you think of the villain? So this one, so we said episode 1 was Maul. We're gonna count Dooku as 2. Yeah. This one was pretty much full on Palpatine and Grievous as like the 2 main villains in this one. Mm-hmm. Grievous for the first, I'd say, 2 acts.
Yeah.
And then Palpatine for Act 3.
Yeah.
So what? And I mean, kind of setting up Anakin, but like fall on like I'm gonna fight and kill you kind of danger is Act 3. So what did you think for Grievous and Palpatine?
Grievous.
So pretend Clone Wars show didn't exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
This is just movie.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't explain anything about Grievous, so he's kind of coming in new. I didn't feel like there was much of a connection between him and what was going on with the rest of the, like, I understand that, you know, he's part of the dark side and all that fun stuff, but just didn't feel like there was much significance to him.
Yeah, like he kind of was just
there for a bad guy.
Yeah, they showed him as like, well, when did he come in? What's his background? How did he become part of this? How long has he been involved in the Separatist fight? Why is he in it? And why is he so high up in the rankings all of a sudden when we haven't even heard of him before? So there's a lot of mystery and they don't get into his background, what species he is or where he came from or how he became this way. So it's kind of like he was just dropped in there.
Here's a new guy. He's bad.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to know about
That's
him.
it.
Yeah. So other than a couple of dialogue choices of like, Count Dooku trained me in your Jedi arts and like, okay, so you were trained by Dooku somehow in the span of this Clone Wars. I guess it's what, 5 years, 4 years? I can't remember the exact duration of Clone Wars. Is it?
I believe it's 5.
Like from a movie perspective, if you look at the years, you can look it up.
So 3 years after Clone Wars.
So the Clone Wars is a 3 year period. So in 3 years. And again, the shows didn't exist yet, right? And now we can talk about that after the fact. But just for now, let's pretend the shows didn't exist. Grievous is introduced. He claims that he was trained by Dooku. So somehow, in the midst of all the stuff that happened in Episode 2 and the Clone Wars, so now Dooku found time to go get this Grievous guy, train him. He has the ability to kill Jedis because remember, his 4 lightsabers were stolen from Jedis, which aren't talked about in the movie other than another 2 from my collection. He says from Obi-Wan and Anakin. And then they take him back. But we don't know like how he got the first 4. We know from comics and backstory that he killed Jedi and he kept them and used them, right? So the first Jedi, he killed it with a lightsaber, presumably. Yeah. How did that happen? So there's no background in that. It didn't explain. And that's how we got the sabers in the movie. Just Dooku trained him, and he's got green and blue ones for some reason. And then he comes has this starting to be a decent fight with Obi-Wan, and it turns out to be what it was. And he dies in a silly fiery explosion, like just. Yeah, again, it was what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was without the background. I thought it was a little. What's the word? Like
probably a weak. A weak villain.
His goals weren't there. He was a pawn. We get that. Like Palpatine, all these guys are pawns for Palpatine. I get that, but it just didn't feel like there was any like. This guy's supposed to be menacing and scary, and like you got to watch out. And their Jedi's were afraid of him in some of the other stuff we find out. But it just didn't feel that way. It just felt like a silly character.
Yeah.
Okay, he's part robot. He's very strong. But like he's also portrayed as weak, as coughing, walking around coughing, and like he feels like he's dying. And like this guy just doesn't seem as menacing as he's made out to be in the comics and everything else.
Yeah. So and not explaining why he's wheezing and coughing and crunched over all the time, and then all of a sudden able to fight. Like, explain why he has this condition or what it is or what what's causing it. Is that why he's, half machine, half whatever creature he is kind of thing?
Was he just put there to show that they have the technology of keeping someone alive with mechanical parts? And again, foreshadowing of Vader. Like, is that why he was there? Don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get that from that though.
No,
yeah,
because it wasn't explained that in the movie.
Exactly.
I'm just, sometimes they put like foreshadowing.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. He was just a character.
But when I watched the movie, I don't even think about that.
No,
I was like, oh, maybe they're foreshadowing.
No,
it's not.
No, if you read the comic, he was an alien that I can't remember how he got destroyed or got. But anyways, he got really injured, and so they took what was left of him, which is essentially his face and brain and his heart, and that was literally all. And the rest of it, they put it in a droid body, and that's Grievous, and that's why he's coughing, like his shell is covering his stuff, so he's constantly getting sick because there's no like protection, like we have our antibodies, like it's being kept alive by machines, so he's very sickly from that perspective. But his body is physically strong. He's a machine, right? But yeah, without any of that backstory, and if you didn't watch the show Clone Wars, you can see some of the fights where he's taking out Jedi, and the Jedi are like, wow, this guy's like strong and powerful and whatever. But you don't get that without that. You miss a lot of that. So
I think with that kind of technology that to keep him alive, that they would keep him getting
a lot better.
well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. George Lucas unfortunately didn't think of that, but they're like, he looks cool.
He does.
Yeah.
He's one of my son's favorites.
I'll give him that. He looks cool, but yeah.
I think my son likes him because he has the 4 arms and 4 lightsabers.
Yeah, and then he
when
gets
he plays the
down
games,
6
he
legs
can-
spider mode.
Yeah.
So okay, so that was villain. Okay, so we talked about villain, we talked about CG, we talked about plot, talked about dialogue. I guess at this point we'll just go over our full detailed review on what we liked and didn't like about the movie, and overall what we think it is, like the movie as a whole.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was, action packed. Not as much, romance background into it, which was fine. They showed that in the first 2 movies, and now that they're married, they're together, they're going to start a family. So they got all that out of the way. Overall, it was a good movie that would wrap it up so that you could see when you watch 4, 5, and 6, how that all came to fruition from this movie. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the movie. There's a lot to like. There's a few things I didn't like. It's the acting as well as the dialogue. But it tied everything together. It stands alone as well. Like as a trilogy, it stands alone. It becomes a closure to it. But it also expands as, hey, this is what happens. It leads into what happens in episode 4, 5, and 6 as well. So it can be a standalone trilogy, but also have that carry on to the 4, 5, and 6. But yeah, I like the way that they showed Anakin's transition into Vader, progression, how Palpatine was in his head, and how he kind of led him to that and exposed his weakness or his fear to bring him to the dark side. And yeah.
So I think if they do go back and say that it was his visions, that this would make it even better of a movie.
Yes.
Knowing that
yes. Once you get the extra stuff, it enriches what you see.
Yeah.
And we'll see that as we get into the Rogue One and the other movies, and how they make issues with the first movie become not an issue and even better. Again, enriches experience. And again, I feel like the Clone Wars adds a lot to this movie specifically because it takes place after episode 2. It fills in a lot of backplots. I think the series as a whole is great.
Yes.
Like as a Star Wars fan, I think it's a must watch, and I think Rebels even more so.
I loved it even more.
Absolutely, but we're not going to review that today. But I think the movie. Sorry, did you finish your overall where you thought it was? Yeah. I just want to make sure I don't cut you off.
No, you're good.
I think that overall, the episode 3 was a great movie. And I'm using the word great. Despite the flaws, despite some of the sad choices for some of the fights and whatnot, I think that, again, from a plot perspective, from getting Anakin from where he was to where he is now, a nice conclusion between him and Obi-Wan, how they kind of tie everything up nicely at the end, I thought they did a solid job. I enjoyed watching it. I didn't feel like, oh, geez, okay, I gotta watch through this again. You know what I mean? Where there was moments like that in episode 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that so much here. So I enjoyed the movie as a whole from that perspective. And I think overall, it may be one of my favorites from a prequel standpoint, but we'll get into the rankings in a bit. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Okay, so I guess we'll jump right into the Star Wars rankings. So here we're going to do our Nerds Talk official Star Wars Saga rankings and where we feel the movies are going to line up. So when you last saw us, we came to the conclusion that in our Star Wars ranking, we have Episode 2, Attack of the Clones at number 1, and we have Episode 1, The Phantom Menace at number 2. So where do we think Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, should end up on this particular list?
Let's think about over 2.
Yeah. Yes.
So over 2.
Sorry. Over
so
Episode 1 or over Episode 2?
So like it'll take over episode,
second spot.
Yeah.
So it's better than Episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all in agreement there.
Yes.
Does it take the number 1 spot?
Is it over Episode 2? I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're in agreement.
So it's unanimous here.
So yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna add this in here. So there you have it. We have Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith at number 1.
Yeah.
We have Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones at position number 2. And Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in position number 3. And with that, folks, that is our review of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. What did you think? Did you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? What are your thoughts in this particular movie? Did you like it or not? What are your favorite moments? What are the moments you absolutely hate? Do you agree with our rankings? Let us know by dropping a comment below. If you'd like to support us, please subscribe to our channel and drop a like on this particular video. If you have any suggestions after we're done this particular saga as to new movies you'd like us to review, games to review, or any other comic books and other such things that you'd like us to talk about, shoot us an email at nerdstalkinfo@gmail.com. You can also find us on the social medias at Talk Nerds on both Instagram and Twitter, where we'll be posting out future projects and things like that. So with that, as always, friends, stay nerdy.